Hi, this is Tracey from Mindless Crafting, and today we're going to be covering the inside of this journal. If you remember in a previous video, we worked on the outside, and look how pretty that turned out. So now we're going to go ahead and start working on the inside and cover it. And you can see it has a little bit of wrinkles, and that's okay. So let's get started. So for the inside, I thought that we would go ahead and use this beautiful paper here. It's a 12 by 12 paper. And this is what it looks like on one side. This is what it looks like on the other side. And I kind of like that. So I think we might go ahead and use this. And any leftovers, I could always use it to decorate some of the pages once we get those in there. So I'm saving all of the scraps. So all I need, this is a 12 by 12. All I need to do is measure this up. Now, if you're comfortable measuring first, drawing a line around it, you can do that. And then cutting it, you can. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and put glue on the inside of this, and then I'm going to place it down on here. Okay, something like that. So that's what I'm going to do. I figured we'll see how it turns out, but I think it'll be okay. So I think each time I learn to make a journal, I learn ways to do things better, but sometimes you don't know what's going to be better until you try it out. So let's go ahead and take our glue. I'm going to use a combination of my glue stick, and I'm going to use some of my art glitter glue. So I'm going to kind of layer it because I really want that to stick. Here's one that I did where I already tried covering it, the inside. Now this already had some like ridges to it. So if you see that little ridge there, but I think it'll be okay once I get my signatures in. No one's really going to see that. And so we're not going for perfection. We're going for fun and enjoying the process. Okay, so let's go ahead and use some of this. And I think I'm going to stick with this side. I kind of like that. Okay, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to cover as much as I can. I have so many of these glue sticks. And so I figure I'd get a lot of coverage, and it's a good way to use my glue stick. So let me know if you below in the comments if you use glue sticks or there's another kind of glue. I have a bunch of different glues, and I figure once one runs out, I'll go and use something else, you know. Okay, so I'm going to do this inside part. Make sure I get close to the edges too. And you see how it's purple, but it dries clear? It's one of those, it just works really well. I think this will be okay. Make sure I get closer to the edges there. Okay, I'm going to just put another layer of art glitter glue on it too. And I'm going to use my bone folder to kind of press it in really good. Use some of my art glitter glue around the edges. Of course, our glitter glue looks like it wants to not come out the way I want it to. We will see. Only during a live. I'm just going to cover as much of that as I can. Oh, there we go. Now we got a good flow. And it's okay. I'm going to press this out really good. And I'm going to let it dry a little bit once I apply this. So I'm just going to take this and actually let me do it this way. I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to take my cover and I'm going to just line it up to the edge here to make sure it's straight. Then I'll cut the edges off. Just like that. think that'll work. I'm going to let it dry a little bit before. You see some of my art glitter glue is coming out of the edges because I'm really spreading this in, making sure that it adheres really flat on there. This journal cover is absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to let this dry just a little bit before I start cutting it away. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut this away and see what we got here. This might be my favorite part because I can now see what it really looks like. Okay. And I'm just trying to go as close as possible. And just rounding the corners. And I see a little piece sticking out there, so a little piece of the cereal box sticking out there, so I just wanted to make sure I got that off of there. Okay, so I'm going to flip it over, and that's what the inside looks like now. Look how pretty. So now, just want to start bending this. Find the bend in here. And just slightly fold it in, right, so the paper can kind of learn. Just a little bit. Just helping that paper bend a little bit there. And then I'm going to do the other side, and I see a little wrinkle there. That's okay. Right here. And just help it bend just a little bit. Just a little bit. And that's working fine. Just be gentle. Okay, and so that's what we have. Let's see what it looks like in there. It's pretty good. That inside color is beautiful. Okay, just helping it a little bit more. Okay, the paper is not used to bending like that, so. Okay, so that's what it looks like. All right, so now for the part where we're going to have to get a grid so we can sew it in here. We can add our signature, right? But let me show you what I do with that. You're going to need a wide eye needle, and I got mine on Amazon. And this is actually going to fit more than one signature, okay? So this is considered a signature. And you can use all kinds of papers to create them. I've watched several videos and I saw lots of different tutorials. I'm just going to do it the way I'm most comfortable. So I have 2, 4, 6, 8 on this one. So I'm going to probably put 2 of these inside because you want to leave enough room so that you can decorate the inside. So that's the other thing. Okay, so before we get there, we're going to need to know where we're going to punch the hole through on these first, before we even get to this part. Okay, so what I did was, I learned this from someone else's channel. I think I did a tutorial 2 years ago. I think I may have done a journal live. And I'm not sure who came up with this, but it was absolutely genius. So I'm going to take my ruler. And because I'm going to have 2 signatures on this, I'm going to I'm going to make like somewhat of a grid so that I know where to poke my holes through and that they're all even, so that when I sew my signature in, I can have one here and one here. But I need to know exactly where that should be. So let's see how many inches this is. So this is one. So I'm measuring from here to here. So this is basically 1 3/4 inches. So I need the center point of that. And I love this ruler because this ruler will give me the center point for this. Okay, so I'm just putting the white paper there so it's easier for me to see. Okay, so looking at this, 5 on that side, no, sorry. Right here, and about here would be the center. So I'm just lining this up. Move it over just slightly. About there would be the center, right? So that's my center point. I want one of my grid lines to be about here and about here. So you'll see in a moment what I'm doing. Okay, that's my center. So I want one of my grid lines to be here and here because I want them to be evenly spaced out. And this will depend on how wide your spine is. That's what it's going to depend on. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing on this side down here. And this is only so I can just get my lines in there, but you'll see in a moment what I'm doing. You'll be able to understand better. And of course, the airplane is flying above while I'm doing a live, right? I mean, while I'm doing recording. Okay, so let's see what we got here. As long as my grid lines are okay on here, I'm good to go. So let me make sure I got that right. There and there. Okay, I'm going to flip it over. It'll be much easier. Here we go. Right here and right here. Okay, so I'm going to just draw myself a line across because to me it's just easier for me. And like I said, this is going to just depend on where you want your signatures to be positioned when you start adding them in. Okay, so we want the center point of this also, because that's going to help us line up where we want our middle hole to go into. We've got 4 1/4, 4 1/4 on each side. It's going to come down on the line. I'm going to make myself a line there. And then the other one, if I line this up correctly, will be right here. Ooh, right there. Okay. Then I need one to go on the other end, like here, maybe at the 3-inch mark here. Right? Maybe right here, counting 3 inches out from the center. And then another one right here. And then let's line this up and get the same thing here too. So what that's going to do, that's going to help me line everything up. Let me make sure I don't, I'm not upside down. That's going to help me line everything up in here. So hopefully that wasn't too confusing. This helps me to know where I'm going to punch my holes. Okay, so I'm just going to have that, hold that there. And so now all I have to do is punch my hole here, and just be careful when your fingers on the other side. Punch a hole here. So if I was doing one signature, it would just be easy to just, you know, kind of do a ballpark. Here's the center, put one here, here, and here, right? But because I'm putting in two, I want to make sure that they go in at a good point. So I'm comfortable with it being like this. And this is probably going to be a pretty full journal too, so. So you want to give yourself a little bit of leeway to be able to fill it up. Okay, so your line should be there. And I keep checking the front because I don't want to mess it up, right? Make sure it's at the front so I can see my lines there. I can see them pretty good. I don't know if you can see them on camera. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and thread my needle. And for this, you need at least, I'm going to need two of these, two separate strings. And let's see, we need this to wrap around almost twice. 1, 2, and a little more, right? Always a little extra. And then we'll do another one the same length for the other signature. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make another one of these, and I guess I'll show you how I would make these. Okay, hold on one moment. Okay, so with these signatures, here's what you can do. These were sent to me already by my crafty friend Serafina, and so these look like they're 8.5 by 11. I think they are. Let's see. Just shy of 8.5, just shy, and almost 11. So I'm going to still need to cut these down because they're going to be too big for this, right? And I can do that off camera. But I've got 8 sheets. Let me just show you. You could throw just about anything into this, whether it's some shorter sheets, magazines, depending on how you want it to look. I'm just going to stick with using these. So right in the center of each one, because you're going to sew it together like a book. These papers are so pretty. I love it. I love that coffee stained paper. I love that worn look. Look at that one. Just putting all of these together. So I still have to cut it down anyway, like I did this one. Cut it down so it fits better. And I don't want it to be like hanging out. I just want it to be able to fit right in there, right? So when I sew it in, it'll have about this much around the edges, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this off camera. Let's see if the top to bottom, so I need to cut off some of the bottom too of that as well. Okay, so here's what we got, and because I actually cut off the edges, I ended up taking off some of the distressed part. So all I did was I took my distress ink in Vintage and I just went ahead and I guess re-distressed it. And I did take some off the top and the bottom. So just in case. So I'm trying to fit it into here. Okay, so I think we've got everything we need to now go ahead and start sewing it in. And let me just clear some space here. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this and I'm going to line it up right here. And I want a little bit on the top and a little bit on the bottom. So you want to make sure your papers are all together, right? Because you're going to go right through the center point. So I'm going to poke my holes in on here because I already measured it on here already. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to just poke a hole. Let me just make sure it stays still. And I'm just putting it right on the fold. It's nice to have a little template, or at least it is for me. So I'm going to poke a hole here. Poke a hole right here. And another one right here. That way when I line it up, let's take this off. And now I could actually put it in here. All right, so I'm going to start in the center. And there it is. I can see my hole right there. So I'm going to start in the center. Push that through. And then push it right through here. And I don't think you can see that very well. You see how that's lined up? And I'm just going to bring that through. Oh, but I want to keep this. I want to hold that one part still there. Okay, so I want this to stay just like that. Okay, make sure I don't lose my thread here. Okay, so now I'm going to come and I'm going to go through this side here. I can see my hole right here. And you can use whatever thread you want. And I'm going to push this through here, just so that I can see it for right now. Okay. So I'll pull this in a moment, but you see how that looks? And then I'm going to go right through here. I'm going to just pull this through and then I'm going to put it through here. And then I'll be able to tighten it up in a minute. Okay, so that's coming through. And you see why it needs to be twice as long? Okay. Make sure I'm pulling this through and I'm leaving some of this out. That's why I did that extra. Okay. And this might be a good time to where you use your clamps, right? Okay. So now I'm going to go straight past this. All right, go right through this top hole here. And just so I can see, I'm going right through the paper, and I'm going to go right to this hole right here. The one at the top, see? Okay, and you still have, see how that is? I want to make sure that stays there. You want to make sure you're pulling it tight and then back through the hole, that center hole. And I'm going to go on this side with it. Okay, now let's check and make sure. Oh, that looks good. That's nice and straight. Look at that. It didn't look graceful, but guess what? It got the job done. And boy, did I have a lot of string. Okay, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to tie it. I'm just going to leave it like that for a moment, just to make sure. You see how my top looks and my bottom looks pretty good. That's what it looks like. And now to put in the other one. And look what it looks like. Pretty good, right? Remove those clamps from there. Okay, and then I'm going to cut. So I hope this is helping you. If nothing else, use the grid, right? Use that grid. Okay, and this is what it looks like once I'm done. And if I wanted to, it looks like I can add another little center piece in there. And it just depends on whether I want to have a closure. If I add a center in there, it might be too tight, especially when I want to add more in. Right? The more I decorate this, the more it's going to fill up. So I want to kind of make sure that I don't make it too full, right? Because you got to leave space for decoration. So look how cute that looks. Look at that. And it looks like I could put another maybe mini signature in here. I'll think about it and see if I want to do that. I'll see. But so far it looks pretty good. I think I came down a little bit too low on this side here. It's a little bit low, but I could always kind of trim that off if I wanted to. Yeah, I might just go ahead and trim that off. Just a smidgen. See, my thing is, as long as you have scissors, you could trim it up the way you want it to be. All right? And I'm not going for perfection. That's the other thing. So not too bad. I think once I start decorating it and getting everything inside there, it'll really start to come together. Cut this off. All right, so I hope that was helpful. That's how you do the inside, or at least that's how I would do the inside. But there's plenty of tutorials on here. I might go back in and distress more of this as I start to decorate. You could basically do whatever you want to decorate the inside, whatever you feel comfortable with. If you want to make this a prayer journal, or you want to have a junk journal, whichever one, just go for it and just have fun. So once you get this in, now it's time to just be able to decorate. So we'll be decorating this throughout occasionally. Maybe whether we do it live or we might even do it as a recorded tutorial. But y'all let me know if you would give this a try with the 2 signatures and maybe possibly 3. Who knows? I could put a thinner, not having 8 pages, maybe put 4 or 5 page signature right in the middle. That's just another possibility, but we'll see. All right, y'all. So I'll see you on the next video, and let me know if you're going to give this a try. And don't forget to subscribe. See you real soon. Bye.